Hey there, adventurers! My name is Alexandra with the Bucket List Mermaid, and I write all about adventure travel and more specifically adventure bucket lists. This is going to be a short and sweet introduction to my new podcast, Ticket Before You Kick It. Now, just a little bit about me. I am a Colorado native, and I was infected with the travel bug from a very early age. We went on cruises, we went to different places, so it was no surprise that I just became known as the adventurous traveler from a very young age. I ended up taking my first solo trip abroad to London and Paris when I was only 16 years old, and after that I was obviously hooked because it led me to move full-time abroad 2 years later when I went to college in Cambridge, England for forensic science. After I finished my degree, I embarked on a 7-month epic trip around the world by myself. When I returned and the pandemic hit, I convinced myself that I had to get a big girl job, and naturally the medical route was the way to go. So I became an emergency medical technician all throughout COVID, and I worked until I was ready to apply to medical school. Now, I still had that adventurous spirit in me, so I figured in order to quench it a little bit, I would go to medical school in Budapest, Hungary. Newsflash, this did not work. At all. I was a little bit miserable, and I was kind of sick of just helping people survive when I really, in reality, wanted to help them live. I think my problem was that I was surrounding myself with so much death and sickness, and when I would talk to people, they hadn't conquered their bucket list for a multitude of reasons, and I think it just broke me. So I took the bold decision, and I quit medical school to become a travel blogger, a yoga instructor, and a mermaid. Yes, you heard that right, I became a mermaid. I needed to make people smile on my travel blog, and this just seemed like the most authentic and genuine way to do it. Since my parents actually got married underwater, dolphins were their ring bearers. Our house was always ocean themed. I was a diver, I was into ocean conservation, and I was just one of those kids that was always just really obsessed with mermaids, cause aren't we all? So I just thought to myself, you know what? Accept it. Accept my fate, and just own it. I was in medical school, and now I'm a traveling mermaid. I just love how life works out sometimes. I have now been to over 45 countries and 6 continents. As I've mentioned, I've lived in multiple places in both Europe and the US, and am currently, drumroll please, living full-time in a massive fifth-wheel RV and traveling around the US, with 2 cats and a dog. P.S. If you want to follow their journey on Insta, they are called Toe Beans on the Road. Now let's get to the fun stuff, the podcast. In this show, I am going to be tackling specific bucket list adventures. We're going to be discussing if it's worth your bucket list at all, things I wish I would have known, tips and tricks, any relevant information, and of course, I'm going to throw in some hilarious travel stories. I'm going to focus a lot on the travel stories because I personally just love hearing about all of the adventures or maybe misadventures of travel. And if I haven't done a bucket list adventure, I will find someone who has. Think of it as going to a coffee shop with your favorite mermaid and talking about what you should add to your adventure bucket list next. But what exactly makes the Bucket List Mermaid different? Well, this podcast is strictly for adventurers looking to live life one bucket list at a time. I am talking about the people who truly love to travel, experience new cultures, travel sustainably, and get their heart pumping. I also love all the podcasts who have a bunch of celebrity guests and stories, and that's awesome, but I just don't think it's as relatable when it comes to travel. So I'm interested in having guests on the show that are real. I want to hear real stories from real travelers just like you. I want to be authentic and realistic with these bucket list tips and stories. So if you feel the call to adventure and long to check everything off of your bucket list before you die, then this is the show for you. It is my goal to inspire your bucket list, fill you with the confidence to tackle it, and maybe make you laugh a little bit along the way. If you are ready to jump into adventuring and bucket listing, then don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform to listen to this quirky mermaid ramble about some mind-blowing things to do before you die. I want to thank you so much for listening, and I'm so excited to go on this journey with you and support you as you tackle the things on your bucket list and embark on the journey that is adventure travel. If you do decide to check off anything that I've talked about on the show, or you have any suggestions, please feel free to contact me or tag me on social media at The Bucket List Mermaid, or head over to thebucketlistmermaid.com to reveal the entire treasure trove of the adventure blog and all the bucket lists that I have made. I am all about cheering you on from the sidelines as you live your best adventurous life. Now, without further ado, let's get started and let's go bucket listing.